Today we're going to work on 50 to 100 yard wedge shots and how we can learn to flight them like a pro with this one simple trick. So there are some real keys to being able to control the flight of a wedge, and most of those come down to our ability to keep rotating through the strike. Specifically, rotating our upper half, so our chest up. Not so much worried about hip rotation, it's more about what's happening in our chest. That's what drives our arms and the club and keeps things moving. So one of the big issues I see with many amateur golfers is that the rotation turns off, and oftentimes it turns off because what their head is doing is blocking them out, causing it to turn off and causing them to have to unload angles and flip, which the minute I flip at this ball, I've lost control of my wedge. I'm no longer going to be able to flight it like a professional. So in a video Henry and I did in the past, we talked about our shirt buttons and how we can feel how we aim our shirt buttons as the driver.
Let's talk about using your chest to compress down through the impact zone. Use your buttons. We're going to aim the buttons today, Milo. So talk about aiming the buttons.
In transition, I'm flexing down, so that's coming from the hips, but it also is seen in the chest. So your chest is going to lower some amount and turn. So at contact, I don't want my buttons pointing at the ball. I want my buttons pointing somewhere forward of the ball. But in today's video, we're going to work up a little higher into our head. What our head, neck, eyes, what those are doing, and how that affects how we move through the ball. So as I watch professional golfers, when I watch the players that are the best wedge players, what I notice in many of them is that the head and the buttons on their shirt basically move together through the strike. And in a few cases, Dustin Johnson, for example, you actually see the head kind of almost start the system and lead the turn down. Now, why would we see that? Because with the wedge, it's critical that we keep turning and keep the club stable we don't want to have a high rate of flip through the bottom. We want to make sure that this system is moving with as much stability as possible. That way we can control the amount of loft we impart on the ball. So I want to give you a quick demonstration of what I typically see from most players with wedges, and that would be something along these lines where the head's back here, they're standing up. I'll actually hit this one. And when I see that, I see difficulty making good contact. We get fats and thins. When we do happen to hit the ball solidly, the ball goes straight up in the air. So you'll see in that slow motion how the club head is passing my hands through the bottom and passing my pivot as well. I'm not actually leading the way through the strike. Now let's see what a proper one looks like. So there you probably even noticed in my rehearsals that my head was almost leading the way, and in the real swing you'll see that my chest is turning ahead of that golf club and the club is not flipping and passing me through the strike. So let's hit one more. So now let's see one from down the line so you can see how that motion looks from this angle. So that was a sand wedge. It launched pretty low, probably around 20 degrees. Took one hop and then spun back a hair. A few things to keep in mind when we start letting our head turn through the strike is number one, eye dominance. If you're left eye dominant, you're probably not going to want to have quite as much turn, because when your nose gets in the way, you're not going to be able to see that ball with your dominant eye, which may be a little bit disconcerting. But if you're more right eye dominant player, you know, it might be pretty comfortable to go ahead and let yourself turn through, because from right here I can still see my hand with my good eye. Other things to keep in mind is tilts of the head. We want to make sure our eyes are working more or less on the plane. I don't want to see the head turn like this, where my eyes now are off plane, or my head turn this way, where my eyes get off plane. So the head's going to work on the plane of the swing with the chest turning. So let's see one more of these shots. Ooh, a little one-hop spinner. So next time you're out practicing, let's start implementing a little bit of this idea of letting your head turn through the strike. Don't go crazy with it and try to really be on the target before you touch the ball. Really the idea is you want to make sure you're basically seeing the ball leave. So as the ball's leaving, your head's also leaving. We really don't want you keeping your head down through the strike. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned something and you're able to take it out to the golf course and hit better wedge shots. If you did, please like and subscribe, and come visit us at Milo Lines Golf, where we can help you learn to swing like an athlete and hit better wedge shots and play the best golf of your life.